Hello everyone, my name is Mother Vane. I am the founder and guild leader of Magitain Mayhem on Gilgamesh for Final Fantasy XIV. And there's something that has been very concerning that I'm noticing that the social climates of the real world are starting to leak into video games. And particularly, I want to speak on xenophobia. If you don't know what xenophobia is that in real life, and exclusively in real life, when you are either born or raised in a country different from somebody else, and that other person speaks ill of your culture, your climate, your daily activities, your language, the way that you enunciate, all of these factors come into what xenophobia is, which at its core is either fear or hatred of someone else in a different region, location, country, hemisphere. It doesn't really matter. And when you're talking about xenophobia, what the real issue is that there is someone that is trying to learn a language or culture different from your own. At some point, someone has to interact with another person in order for xenophobia to really begin. And that comes from somebody who wants to leave their existing location to move somewhere else, preferably for a brighter future or a better experience in their everyday lives. With this consideration, xenophobia at its core is a level of hatred for another person, or at least, at bare minimum, a fear of them. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that xenophobia isn't exactly like video games. In fact, it would be almost laughable to even say that they're the same. They are not. Xenophobia, at its core, can cause people to be hurt, killed, or emotionally scarred, or simply withdraw emotionally from a location just because they don't feel like that they really belong. In this instance, we are seeing that there's a lot of players in World of Warcraft who are suddenly realizing that there was a lot behind the scenes at Blizzard that they don't necessarily agree with, that they don't feel that it's worthwhile any longer, whether it's the gameplay itself or the pending lawsuits or the federal investigations. There's a lot that's going on right now. And people are willingly moving from one location to the other to try something new, to try to have a better experience somewhere else. Again, xenophobia is not the same as video gaming, but I'm seeing a lot of the same prejudices are coming up in regards to this. I'm seeing that people simply aren't cooperating with somebody or helping someone learn the new language. Somebody might be referring to something as the auction house instead of calling it the market board, for example. They may not understand the dailies. They may not necessarily understand their roles and what they're supposed to be doing. As a healer, you're supposed to be DPSing. Oh my God. So, and that was a shock for everyone when you first began this game. But there are aspects of these games and these cultures that are different. The language is different. The way that you work your daily routine is entirely different. Games are not all the same. And at the same time, no one should ever be penalized. Just as in real life, no one should be penalized for where they were born or where they lived. Oftentimes, that was not a choice. In video games, people rationalize this by saying it was a choice. Sure, it could have been a choice, but what was the reason why you got into MMOs in the first place? Was it because of a friend? Did somebody encourage you and recommend that you try the game on out? Is that the reason why you started playing? Were you just in a place in your life where you're just like, I've got some extra time, I can start playing this game. Oh, this is kind of fun. I'll just stick around in this and I'll build up a community and a culture and have friends and develop something here. And all of a sudden I have to move because something bad happened. With those considerations, we shouldn't be knocking people who have gone from one game to another. That's wrong. That is at its core a form of prejudice and harassment to a point where someone may not even feel welcome and may no longer want to subscribe to the game. As Final Fantasy XIV is a relatively new game in comparison to all the other MMOs, sure, it's almost 10 years old right now, but ultimately it is one of the younger of the MMOs. Chances are every single person that came from those games either have played a bare bones basic MMO or just starting for the first time, or they migrated over from World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, Star Wars The Old Republic, Aeon, you name it, any of those games, likely somebody came from. And you had to learn all of that all over again. So, in this current climate that we're seeing in the real world, where xenophobia is becoming a huge problem, I'm starting to see an outpour of those same feelings and those emotions of others who are different from us, who have different experiences, are trying to relearn that. And they're trying to speak in a way that they understand, but oftentimes they're rejected or they're attacked for language that does not exist any longer in other games. So, with this, I'm just asking everyone, please be kind. I know that it's very easy to be able to trash one another, and I know that there are some social influences that have gone out there. There's people who have trash games and now they're joining in on the game. And the question is that do you want to be the same person that trashes one another? If you found that the language that was spewed from one person was toxic, why would you want to imitate that same behavior when you want to be encouraging more friends and more community? So, with that, I'm just asking everyone, please be kind. You don't have to imitate bad, toxic behavior, and you can be the better person. And you can be able to allow somebody else to join the community in a way that is helpful to them and helpful to you. And if there is ways that you can translate some of that language to help them understand, it's going to make a lot more friends for you. So thank you very much for listening. I know that 5 minutes of time is a lot, let alone 7 minutes, but I appreciate you and happy gaming.